Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Sayyida Bukhari. Welcome back to my channel The Mad Corner, and today in this tutorial we are going to be discussing about the osteology of the femur bone. So let's begin. Firstly, we should know that where is the femur bone located in our body. So this is the femur bone. It is located in the thigh, so it is also known as a thigh bone, and it is the longest and the strongest bone of the human body. The femur bone is marked over here in the green color, as you guys can easily see it. So it is present on the right side and the left side of the body. Now let's just isolate the femur bone so we guys can differentiate it and learn about the osteology of the femur bone. So here is the femur bone all alone. So like any other typical bone, femur bone has an upper end, a lower end and a shaft. The shaft of the femur bone is very long in comparison to all the other bones in the body. Therefore, it is the longest bone in the human body. Now let's just discuss about the bony landmark of the upper end. So in the upper end of the femur, you guys will see this blue marked rounded spherical, not a full sphere but more than half of a sphere. So this marked area is termed as the head of the femur, and it is directed medially upward and slightly forward. This head of the femur articulate with the acetabulum to form the hip joint over here. Further, you guys will see a roughened pit that is situated on this rounded head. This is called as a fovea. Now after the head, on the proximal end or the upper end of the femur, you guys will see this purple marked area over here, which is termed as the neck of the femur. Now if we just talk about the features of the neck, you guys will see that the neck has two border and the two surfaces, the upper border and the lower border, the anterior surface and a posterior surface which is present posteriorly over here. And one important feature I would like to tell you over here is that the neck makes an angle with the shaft. So the neck shaft angle is about 1 to 5 degree in adult, which is a frequently asked question. Now the third feature of the upper end is the greater trochanter. It is a large quadrangular prominence located at the upper part, over here marked in the red color. Now if we talk about the features of the greater trochanter, so you guys will see that it has the two border, the upper border and the posterior border, which is present posteriorly, and it has the three surfaces, the anterior surface, the medial surface, and on the lateral side you will see the lateral surface of the greater trochanter. Now this is the four marked area on the upper end that is termed as a lesser trochanter. So the lesser trochanter is directed medially and backward, and it is present at the posterior inferior part of the neck with the shaft. And on the lesser trochanter you guys will find out the insertion of the iliopsoas muscle. Further, you will find the intertrochanteric line, which is present anteriorly connecting the neck and the shaft of the femur, and posteriorly on the posterior surface of the femur you guys will find out the intertrochanteric crest. So the crest is present posteriorly and the intertrochanteric line is present on the anterior surface of the femur. So this is all about the upper end of the femur. Now moving toward the shaft of the femur. So this green area marked over here is all the shaft of the femur, all the area of the shaft of the femur. And in order to study the shaft really well, we divide the shaft into the three portions. So the upper 1/3, the lower 1/3 and the middle 1/3. So there are basically four surfaces on the shaft of the femur bone and three border on the shaft of the femur bone. So what are these three borders? So the three borders are the lateral border, the medial border and the posterior border. The posterior border divide on the two parts, on the upper half of the femur, and it divide on the two half at the lower border of the femur. So we will discuss about that. So this is a really easy figure for you guys to understand the posterior border. So on the upper half you guys can see that the posterior border is bifurcating into two parts. There is a pectineal line and the gluteal tuberosity. Gluteal tuberosity is present laterally while the pectineal line is present medially. And on the lower half you guys can see that the posterior border, which is termed as a linea aspera on the femur, is dividing into the medial supracondylar line and the lateral supracondylar line respectively. So this is a really easy figure for you guys to understand the posterior border. Now if we talk about the surfaces of the shaft of the femur, so basically there is the anterior surface, the lateral surface, the medial surface, and the popliteal surface. So the popliteal surface is present at the lower one third of the shaft. So this is all about the shaft of the femur. Now moving toward the lower end of the femur. So as you guys can see that the lower end of the femur is widely expanded to form the two large condyles over here. One is the medial condyle and one is the lateral condyle, and these condyles articulate to form the knee joint with the tibia bone, which is present beneath the femur bone. And if we talk about the features of the lateral condyle, so the lateral condyle take greater part in the transmission of body weight to the tibia. And now if we talk about the features of the medial condyle, so the medial condyle is a convex medially, and on the medial condyle you will find a projection or a prominence which is termed as a adductor tubercle, which is an important landmark for the insertion of the adductor muscles of the thigh. And if we take a look over here, you guys will see that this is the intercondylar fossa or the intercondylar notch. So this notch basically separated the lower and the posterior part of the two condyle. It is limited anteriorly by the presence of the patellar bone and posteriorly by the intercondylar line, which separate the notch from the posterior surface. So this is all about the osteology of the femur bone. I hope you guys understand it really well, and if you do so, then make sure to like and subscribe to the Mat Corner. See you all in another video. Take care. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.